This Erev Shabbos, I want to learn a Gemara with everybody here, but less than learn the Gemara. I want to tell you the story, what this Gemara did to me. It caused a lot of thoughts in my mind, and I really want to share the story of what happened when I learned this Gemara and the Tosfos. I'm not coming to say pshat in the Gemara or the Tosfos that we're going to study. I want to really share the story of what happened to me when I learned this Gemara. And then I want to talk what will be, I believe, relevant to us. Everybody knows there was a guy called Dama Benina, and his kibbud avim is very, very famous. His respect to his parents is famous. And the story the Gemara brings, a very famous story. He doesn't wake up his dad, and he gives up tremendous amounts of money. That story has a lot of publicity. I believe all of us know the story. There's a second story that the Gemara brings that I believe is much less famous about Dama Benina. And I want to discuss the second story that the Gemara brings. The first story, he gives up a lot of money. Dama Benina gives up significant amount of money to honor his father, not to wake up his father from sleep. And that story has gotten a lot of publicity. The second story is a story of Dama Benina was sitting ben Gedolei Romi. He was sitting amongst the greats of Rome. And in the middle of this prestigious gathering, he had a very beautiful garment on. He was a well-dressed, prestigious man. And in the middle of this gathering, a very social event. And I'm sure it was very important to Dama Benina, his social status, who he was, how people looked at him. And in the middle, he's hobnobbing. He's sitting there with all the greats of Rome, very prestigious. And in the middle of this whole gathering, his mother comes in, rips his beautiful garment. I can't fathom this. You're only there for your honor. You're only there for how it looks. And he's standing next to all the greats of Rome. And he's made it. He's like with the big shots, the big guns in society. And this is like the moments people dream of. And comes his mother, rips his garment, spits him in the face, smacks him. In the middle of the whole gathering, everything that he wanted out of that gathering shattered. And he doesn't say a negative word to his mother. He contains himself and he says nothing to his mother. That's how far this Dama Benina, how far his kavod, his honor for his parents went. I'm actually always much more taken by that story. I used to worry going into a career of chinuch. I had a worry that maybe I'm just a better businessman than people earn large money. What's the point of money? Is they turn it into honor. You buy things, you buy a nice car and you get honor. I used to worry that maybe a mechanech is just a smarter businessman. Why go from money to honor? Go right to kavod. Like skip a step. Just seems a smarter business deal. And I would worry about that maybe, and it is a worry. You have to make sure that our kavanos, our intentions are proper and thought out. Otherwise, we could just be a smarter businessman. As such, maybe being somebody who cares about kavod more, perhaps, I was much more taken by the second story. That he gave up money, story number one. Okay, but at least let him maintain his honor. He gave up money, but he still got ben Gedolei Romi. So clearly his honor was intact. But then his mother took away his kavod. In front of such a gathering, his mother ripped up his garment. His mother spit him in the face. His mother slapped him. Berabim, disgrace. Loy Amr Davar, he didn't say anything to his mama. He accepted, and he didn't say anything. What a kibbud, I'm nishtoimim. I'm amazed from the story. Comes Tosfos, And this Taisus, I don't think I had the experience in anything I've ever learned of being more disappointed. Comes Taisus, and he says, Yesh b'medrash. He brings a medrash that his mother was miturefes midaita. His mother wasn't normal. And when I learned this Taisus, I was devastated. I happened to be very attracted to that second story, that less famous story about Dama Benina, his willingness to part with kavod and respect his mother. And then comes along Taisus, and he says a medrash that his mother wasn't normal. And I was so frustrated. I love Taisus. Taisus geschmack to learn. This Taisus, why did he tell me the medrash? I was devastated. I was so taken by the story. I was taken by an amazing story. Why would he bring this medrash that says she wasn't normal? All of a sudden, I'm less impressed with the story. She wasn't normal. Okay. What do you expect? She wasn't normal. So I'm less impressed. He took away beforehand. His healthy mama came in, spit him in the face, smacked him, ripped his garment. I was nishtoimim. I was amazed from the amazing self-control, his amazing kibbud understanding of mama. Despite what she did to him, he understood what it means a mother. But then Taisus brings a medrash that she was miturefes midaita. Yesh. He says there exists. He's not even like Taisus saying there exists such a medrash that his mother was miturefes. She wasn't normal. Why did Taisus bring this? Did he not ruin the whole Gemara? So I don't know about you. I'm less impressed. She was miturefes midaita. Okay, the story went down many notches by me. So the truth is, you have to analyze Taisus. And there's a lot of Torah to think about what Taisus was addressing. Taisus doesn't just quote random Midrashim. And I'm not here to discuss that. I don't want that, and I've thought about it, and it's worthy of thought. And if one day you want to learn Taisus, it would be, Rabbi Yam, we should study that Taisus. Amazing, amazing Taisus. But I really came to tell you a story less than to learn this Taisus. Though, have the Taisus in your pocket. That's only a good thing. But the story I want to tell you is that when I thought over what Taisus told me, not saying why he told it to me, but Taisus says she was miturefes midaita. She wasn't normal. I want to say that had Dama Benina come to such a madrega, his mother disgraced him, embarrassed him in public. And he doesn't say anything to her. And I want to tell you that all of us have things we're very good at and things we're not so good at. And in all our lives, there are two sugyas. It's very important to take stock what you're good at and what you're not. Very important to learn what we're good at and what we're not. It's an important part of life. I'll tell you an interesting thing. In Yeshiva Bayas, is a very kind place, a gentle place. And you would think, we have sports teams, you would think what we would do is every player should get equal time. You see my work mind. We spoke like sports last night, today. We just won a big game. I'm just T4ing. I haven't gone past the Wolfpack's big win last night. And you would think every player gets equal time in a place that's kind and gentle. So let's make sure every guy gets equal time. I think that's damaging youngsters if you do that. It's damaging people because there's a sugya of finding out. I excel at this. I do this, and each thing deserves honor. One guy draws, and it doesn't mean I shouldn't do things I'm not good at. It doesn't mean that at all. And by the way, there are many times to come out of our comfort zones. I've analyzed this sugya with myself. I don't swim. I'm not good at it. And I think about it, but maybe you should put yourself out there. Who said you shouldn't? And a lot of life is going out of our comfort zones. So it's a sugya, knowing what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. And certainly if we have talents and skills, we're mechazik that. And things we're not so good at, okay, so we're not, okay, so, and then we have to think about it. Sometimes what we're strong at is a big guide of our life that tells me I should get busy with those things. Hashem gave me gifts. Hashem gave you gifts. And it's a sugya to study and to really learn what I'm strong and what I'm not. A very healthy sugya. And to play every guy equal time is defying a very healthy sugya of self-acceptance, of knowing my strengths. Encourage the guy who's weak at basketball. Get on the team. And you made it. There's a player, one of the guys is one of the weakest guys on the team. And he worked his heart out. I'm so proud of him. And finally, the best player fouled out of a game 3 games ago. The best player fouled out. I was at the game. It was on Long Island. We all like, oh no, our best guy fouled out. He's now 5 fouls, high school rules. He's out of the game. And the guy who never gets minutes came in. And then it was a tight game. And he shoots from the corner. And I have to say, I was in the stands. I'm like, oh no. Swish, the biggest shot of the game. He hit. So, of course, come out of your comfort zone and push. And the whole team was rallied around him. So for sure, but there's a sugya of what we're good at and what we're not. And to direct ourselves to what our missions, every person has to know their strengths and weaknesses. And I want to say that you and I are terrible judges. Terrible. We're weak judges. We're not good at judging. We all have to know that. We are not good at judging. How did Dama Benina come to such madregas that his mother ripped his garment publicly, spit him in the face and slapped him? Taisvis brings a Midrash that it's possible, yesh, there exists that she was miturefes midaita, that she wasn't normal. There exists such a Midrash that she wasn't well or stable. And the answer, unhealthy people make the sugya of their life judging the other person. That person's bad, that person's fault. But we're not good at that. We don't know the other. By the way, whoever we're dealing with, there might be a medrash that they're meturefes midaita. We don't know what they're capable of not. And Dama Benina didn't make the sugya of his life about his mother. He knew that yesh b'medrash, she might not be normal. And instead, the sugya is a place he could control himself, his reactions, his healthiness, his sense of security. The sugya is him. Let's stick to what we're good at, and let's avoid, in this case, you and I are not good judges. We're just not. We never are. It's so good, I think to myself all the time, that Hashem is the judge, not you and I, because we're just not good at it. There's too much information we don't know. There's too much information that we can't know. So I want to say, in studying this Taisvis, that it actually gave me tremendous chizuk in the final analysis. Because in dealing with all the situations, always remember that Taisvis, that we really don't know how much somebody's responsible. We are not good judges. We're not good at that game, at that activity. We aren't good judges. So in the topic 1 that we're gathered together, and the topic was about when our children don't reach what we judged to be what we judged and hoped for them to reach, I want to start message 1 that we are not good judges. We're just not. And I believe that's an important thing to keep in mind. Amongst our skills, and we're skilled and talented, being a judge is not our greatest skill. Encouraging, loving, all things that we're great at. We have a power and a force at that. Inspiring, encouraging, loving, even criticizing when it's needed and to the right amount. All things we could do. Judging is not our strength. Yesh b'medrash. I want to say a second point, and then I want to get to really the Nakud I want to share with everybody here. The second point I want to make is that when we have dreams for our children, and when we sense frustration, all of us, are our kids reaching our dream, there's a tremendous beauty to that. And there's a beauty to that frustration. And this is extremely real. There's a beauty to that frustration. And we have to pause and celebrate that beauty. This is not pretend stuff. I want to share a story with Rabbi Yisrael Salanter that if you study it well, is something profound. I want to share it with you. There's something to me very deep about this story and very powerful. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter thank you so much, Chaim. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter is dancing Simchas Torah with his Talmidim. They're dancing Geschmack. Rabbi Yisrael, it was known, was very, very Lebedik Simchas Torah. Simchas Torah. And they're dancing crazy Lebedik. Jumping, Geschmack, Simchas Torah. Shabach Rabbanu Mikol Amim. They're excited for Torah. Please hear this story deeper than this. There's a tremendous depth to this. So they're dancing Geschmack. In middle of all the Lebedika dancing, Rabbi Yisrael disappears from the room to the shock of the Talmidim, to the chagrin of the Talmidim. They wanted to dance with the holy Rebbe. Rabbi Yisrael is gone in middle. Talmidim, you dance Simchas Torah. What a dream. With the Rebbe, with the Torah. It doesn't get better than that. And the Rebbe is gone. Talmidim are very curious, and they find Rabbi Yisrael in a different room somewhere, and he's sitting there sad. Rabbi Yisrael on Yom Tov was never sad. Rabbi Yisrael on Simchas Torah, he's sad. Now the Talmidim had an Eimsa de Rabbi. They had a healthy fear of their Rebbe, and nobody wanted to disturb his thoughts. Why is Rabbi Yisrael sad? Simchas Torah, shocking. And he went off private, but the Talmidim found him and saw the Rebbe had a sadness. There was one person there who was a chaver of Rabbi Yisrael. He was a friend of Rabbi Yisrael. He wasn't the Talmud, and as such, he had a little more guts. He was what they call a Talmud chaver. He was a friend and a Talmud. So he went up to Rabbi Yisrael, and he whispered, Rabbi Yisrael, Simchas Torah, Yom Tov, what's going on? So it was Rabbi Yisrael was open and vulnerable. He said, I was dancing and loving it. We have a Torah. And then he said, I felt some contradictions. I felt my own insecurities and my own questions on myself. And I got sad about it. And he expressed some of his insecurities about his own. I'm dancing with the Torah. Do I always take this so seriously? And Rabbi Yisrael was open with his friend about feelings, difficult feelings. His friend heard Rabbi Yisrael's open heart, and his friend burst out crying. He started thinking of his own. Hearing Rabbi Yisrael with real insecurities made his friend feel insecure also. He started crying. Now the Talmidim saw the friend cry. They weren't afraid of him. They said, why are you crying? And he expressed, and all the Talmidim, Simchas Torah, they're all crying. It's like, for us, Varma Chasidim are laughing at the Musar movement. Don't laugh so fast. Listen to this. They're all crying, Simchas Torah, Yom Tov, in the Mitarnish. You're not allowed. Rabbi Yisrael stands up like a lion, and he says something so profound. He said, Rabbi Yisai, we had a first part of Simchas Torah, where we danced and sang be'emes with the Torah. Then an insecure thought, a longing, a lacking hit us all. And we cried. He said, Rabbi say, come back to the dance floor with me and let you see our chukos. You see our yearnings. You see what we want and what we're interested in. Everybody back to the dance floor, harder, stronger, with more simcha. Look at us. Look at what we want. Look at what hurts us. And they dance like they never danced before. All Rabbi Yisrael with all the Talmidim. And the second point I want to make on this sugya is that when a person experiences such a pain, there's a realness because our chukah is to be Abdei Hashem, and our chukah is for our mishpachos. And you can have a whole Simchas Torah coming in touch with that chukah. So it's not to give answers to, it's to make a Simchas Torah on the chukah. Rabbi Yisrael turned Hafachta Mispedi L'machali. He turned a eulogy into a dance. Hafachta, you have turned Mispedi, a eulogy L'machali, into a circle. And Rabbi Yisrael was yared that when we touch chukah, when we touch a craving, and we touch a frustration, there's a simcha there that's authentic, that's deeply authentic. It's the authentic gathering that we're here Shabbos, that all of us have a chukah, an honest chukah to serve Hashem, and an honest chukah that our mishpachos serve Hashem, because authentically we desire that which is true. Authentically we desire that's what's real. I have a suspicion that our whole Shabbos and our whole gathering, it pashtus to me, we should like dance the rest of Shabbos. That we walked into Stanford is a chukah, is a deep chukah for Hashem that me and you have. That me and you have. We should then dance and sing a whole Shabbos for the emes that you and I want to serve Hashem. And we want our children to serve Hashem. That's what's valuable. That's what's precious. Before studying any sugya, before attempting any answers, that's a deep answer. It's the deepest answer. Rabbi Yisrael, it wasn't like a shtick, he had a chap. He came to on Simchas Torah because of Simchas Torah. He came to the deepest place. He came to that place, him and his Talmidim, and he, through feeling, through difficult, why was he matter himself to cry in Simchas Torah? It happened, there was an eines. It was an eines. But he could have stopped it, chas v'sholem, to stop it. He came to Simchas HaTorah. He came to a profound hakara of his desire for Torah, of his love of Torah. And he brought his Talmidim to that love of Torah. So I want to say, Rabbi say, this second point, that just standing here in Stamford, Connecticut, you and I have a chukah, a deep, profound chukah. It expresses itself often by our desires for our children. But there's a profound chukah for Hashem, a chukah for Kirvas Hashem, profound. Feel it in our sadness. Feel it, and dance over that. Feel that. That's powerful to feel. It's a zchus to feel a chukah for Kirvas Hashem. That I often think perhaps in our tsar, in our in difficulties, we don't get in touch with this point that there's a beauty, there's a chukah, there's a profound chukah for Kirvas Hashem, for avodas Hashem that's oh so real and oh so powerful. And Rabbi Yisrael and his Talmidim made a Simchas HaTorah. On this chukah, they made a Simchas HaTorah. It's hard for me to go to point 3 because it's hard for me to get past that, to be honest. It's hard for me because that's Kirvas Elokim Li Tov is deep, runs deep, and is just a truth. It's a truth. It's a truth that all of us know and sense, and different things of our life bring us to that. I know a person who was thinking about, who wasn't from, and was making life's decisions, a very holy person today. Wasn't sure how she wanted to go in her life. She was clearing serious things. She read in a book that anybody who doesn't do a certain thing is not a yid. So she called up the author, being a seeker. And she said, is it true? If you don't do this, you're not a yid? Am I slugged up? So the person profoundly said, it's true. So this lady, this wonderful girl, screams into the phone, yippee! I'm excited. Okay, so I'm Nishkin Yid. You slugged me up. If she was a boy, she'd hand in her yarmulke. You slugged me up. The most profound thing we can be handed, the most profound, is to be in touch with our chukka. It's the most profound thing, is to get in touch. I'll tell you a story that I want to share with you. The early days of yeshiva, I did a lot of bechinas. And we were figuring out who we can take into the yeshiva. So I had a chap that I learned from my tata. I had a chap that I learned from my father. The chap is, a guy would come to date my sisters. So my father is going to give the guy a bechina. The guy just traveled in from Lakewood, from Baltimore. You're going to give him, start being boichin, the guy. So my father would tell him a vart, would talk Torah, and see how excited he was. That was how, instead of being boichin, tell him Torah and see how excited he was. So I decided, a guy comes for an interview, I'm going to describe Ruchnius to the guy. I'm going to describe as best as I can Kirbis Hashem. And that's my bechina is going to be. I would see guys in the office drooling. The guy was begging, I want to start this minute. I want to come, I want it, craving it. And then I'd meet the guy, and he was a difficult guy. We couldn't manage. So a cynic would say, okay, he's an actor, he's not an actor. You know, everybody in the office, they know what to say. Problem is that very few, I'm a horrible actor. In the plays, my mother was in the camp I grew up in. She was the judges. Rev Russell can testify. So they had me in the play to earn points by my mama. She'll give him more points for the team. I can't act the same. Acting is murder. To be somebody else is hard. How do you be somebody else if you're you? It's like a complicated zach. I'm like, nishtoimim. People act, they become somebody else. And it's hard enough to be me. It would be him too. To be somebody else is pretty amazing. So here, every guy, all of a sudden, is good. They should make millions. There's one Tom Cruise. Each guy, every guy, mamish, we should have like a world of actors. Actors wouldn't make so much money. Actresses, Yedain is a good actor, a good actress. It's a sheker, it's a lie. The answer is Kalish. You were interviewing the guy. You were trying to find out if he has a neshama. By the way, it's a stupid question. He has a soul. Basically, I was interviewing. We crave Ruchnius. We crave it. And so the interview was trying to find out if he has a soul. And I found out they all have souls. Now I only interview the Yetzer Hara. I want to meet his Yetzer Hara to know what we can do. I only want to know about what's the nature of Yetzer. Do you have a soul? We have a craving soul for Ruchnius. But it's important to get in touch with that. But it's important. And when we have sincere, authentic moments and different things in our life, when we touch that, we're powerful. When we touch that, we're powerful. And when the question you and I ask is, how do we contend with the tsar of a child that's not going in the way that we desire? The first step is feel it. Feel it. Understand, you and I. Have a chukah for Hashem. Have a chukah. Well past. We're not worried what the neighbors. We're mivater what the neighbors are going to say. We're mivater what the school's going to say. You and I care profoundly about avodas Hashem. Touch that, feel that, live with that, understand that, and then go pray. Understand that, get in touch. Let's get in touch with that. That's an answer, not a question. That is an answer. That's something we must feel and touch. It wasn't, those interviews weren't a waste. I should go back to accept it at no shaykhs. It's not the question about accepting a guy, but they were good for me to touch. That people have a massive craving, a craving for Hashem. My two favorite moments in yeshiva, like not close, are Kiddush Friday night. I love Kiddush when Yidden stand around their table and acknowledge Hashem's the Borei. And I love Shalosh Shudas when we sing Yedid Nefesh. Shabbos is bookended Kiddush and Shalosh Shudas. And every Yid sings about Hashem, that which the Yedidos, that passionate, that we crave Hashem's attachment. We crave a connection to Hashem. A Yid sings that. We have to touch that and feel that. I'm supposed to move on to a third point. I'm struggling to move on from that. Let me share a third point. But that second point, I really want to go right into Shabbos. Off that second point, but let's share a third point. My kids and I have I said you should know your strengths. So again, everything's going back to sports. I hope they don't throw me out before Shabbos. But Russell could testify, I have very good peripheral vision. I see very well from the side. I played point guard my whole life. And I have good, I'm looking at Rabbi Yechiel. You can believe me. Now I see Rabbi Yechiel. Clearly, I'm looking at him right now. I have good peripheral vision. It's an oddity. In sports, if you're a point guard, you have to watch this guy cut to throw him a good pass. You see this guy cutting. It's good for classroom management. That you could look straight at, and I have good peripheral vision. Just a funny Zach. I was a good point guard, Manasa, show off a little. So I have good peripheral vision. Yeah, I never told my son this story. I was on a plane with my son Moshe. True story. We were flying somewhere, and I told this story. We were flying somewhere, and he had the middle seat, and an elderly gentleman. He had the aisle seat, and an elderly gentleman had the middle seat. And I was the aisle, so we both had aisles. And next is us. Now I was standing up talking to my son, and the elderly man had gone to use the facilities, and he returned. And the guy says, and I say to my son, I'm talking to my son, and I see him there. I say to my son, Maish, if you could stand up to let him through. The man says to me, the exact words, he says, whoa, you have good peripheral vision. My son couldn't stop laughing. He's like, you paid him before. He's asking the man, did my father pay you to say? True story. The guy said, my son was like asking him, I paid him, that we couldn't stop. Okay. So the man, I got a little validation in life. He said, I have good peripheral vision. Why am I telling you about peripheral vision? A very side point. I was speaking at a school, and I was talking to the Rabbi in a school. And I see it's a conversation, a serious conversation. And peripheral vision, maybe like sitting with Mrs. Mandel, right where you're sitting, Mrs. Mandel. And a guy stands up. Now during a Q&A, when a guy stands up to ask a question, that's not like normal. We're talking. It was like a shtickle, even threatening. Now that was maybe bad. I wish I didn't have peripheral vision, but I see a guy like stand up to ask something. I knew this is going to be a tough guy. This is going to be serious. If you know the world of texts, If I ever get a text that says, Dear Rabbi Kalish, you know, when you see your text before you open it, you can see the first few words. If it says, Dear Rabbi Kalish, I hold on to my seat. The person's going to rip. That's just how it is. Dear Rabbi Kalish, it means I know you mean well, but I don't know why there's Dear Rabbi Kalish. That's just you see those words. Be ready to open that text. So Lamaisa, the guy stands up, you know what's coming. And out of my peripheral vision, I see the guy stands up. And he says to me that you're a dangerous man. So I said, okay, let me hear. It's interesting. Explain. So he says to me that you're dangerous. He said, you honor people that are doing bad things, that are not doing what we want, and you're dangerous. You're validating things. You're very dangerous by giving honor to somebody who's struggling. So you're a dangerous man. Very, very dangerous. So that's what this man, right corner, stood up and announced how dangerous that you're giving honor to somebody who's doing things that we don't approve of, and you're validating behavior. There's a big sugya like this. There's a big sugya. You're not allowed to give honor to a Russia. It's an Isser Daraisa. Chanifa, it's a sugya. And he's saying you're honoring, you're dangerous. Chanifa is an Isser Daraisa. Rabbi Yoina says you have to give up your life not to do it. And he's saying, Kalish, you're troublesome. I asked him if I can rephrase his question. If he allows me, could I re-say your question? I said, is it possible that you have the following plan? You have a plan. We all want our youth. We have dreams, we have values, we have places we want them to get. Is it possible that you have the following plan? That your plan is produce, I'll respect you. Produce, and I'll respect you. Don't produce, you're the guy who's getting good grades. You're the guy coming to Minyan. So then you get respect. We all crave kavod. We crave respect. So you have a plan. Do it. Do what we want you to do, and you'll get respect. Don't, and you get no respect. So that's a very cool plan. It probably would work to some degree. If we said in our homes that you only get to eat if you get behaviors you don't eat, so it might cause good behavior. Pavlov tried this with dogs. So you have a plan with honor. That's your plan. So comes this person and if you give that kid in my class respect, who I'm telling him that produce, get respect. Don't produce and don't get respect. So you mamish destroyed my system. You gave him respect. How dare you? How dare you? You mamish slugged up my whole system. I had a plan, a brilliant plan. Produce respect. Don't produce no respect. If anybody dares give respect, you're dangerous. You mean you're destroying my whole system. I asked him 2 questions. I said, what should I do if I do respect the guy? I just think he's good. You talk giving respect like it's a candy. Let's say I respect the guy. Let's say I talk in respect that the person's a ben adam, he's the yid. Let's say what should I do? So after work, you're saying, okay, don't you dare show him. We have to teach courses that if you respect the guy, because it's a person, a ben adam, who's working, so you should have to work. You're telling me we should all have chinuch courses to make sure not to respect somebody. One of the first questions we're asked after 120 is, did you show respect for your friend? There is a sugya called kavod for Talmidei Chachamim. And we can analyze and think about that production, and certain production may give more respect. There is room for higher levels. We don't stand up when every kid walks into the room. But there's a kavod that is owed to every yid by his essence. A yid, a ben Hashem. A yid is owed, and an intelligent person respects a person. A person is dignified. A person, a yid, specific, a guy is dignified. A guy is precious. Chaviv in Adam, it's a Mishnah. It's nothing short of a Mishnah. If somebody puts down a guy's problems. Chaviv in Adam, a person is precious. It's a Mishnah. It doesn't speak about what his accomplishments are. Chaviv in Adam, shenivra b'tzelem. And then a yid that's higher is a banim l'Hashem. The Mishnah doesn't talk about his accomplishments. A person is valuable and precious and has meaning and purpose. Who they are. Al tiyeh baz l'chol adam. There's Mishnayos, basic of Yiddishkeit. A person's precious. But then he asks, shucks. So now you have to be mechabed people. What happened? I had a good plan. I'm only going to feed kavod if you behave. So I want to tell you a little secret. That being mechabed, the way this world works, I think it's not an awareness how this world works. Let's study the nature of the world. Chazal tell us that David HaMelech, b'Seif Yamav, his garments didn't warm him. Chazal explain that David HaMelech cut Shaul's garment, and there was a level, he wasn't mechabed begadim, and since he didn't respect them, they lost their kayach. They didn't warm. The nature of the world, the nature, respects something, it gives it kayach. A friend of mine went to the stipler, and he asked him about a certain yid who seems to be Poel Yeshuas, who does amazing stuff. And my friend, I heard this with these ears. He asked, my friend told it to me, and he went to the stipler. He said in midst of the conversation, that is this, I hear such stories about this yid. And the stipler said, of course, people are mechabed him, it gives him koiches. People respect him, it gives him power. It's the way Hashem made the world is if you mechabed begadim, they warm. It gives the koyach to the item. Shlomo HaMelech, the smartest man, says that if you mechabed mitzvahs, mitzvahs have a power to impact us. Yeira'eh mitzvah hu yeshulam. If you mechabed a mitzvah, it in turn, if you study it and appreciate this mitzvah, this particular mitzvah. I just went, a friend of mine married off this week, his daughter, his first child, and a very happy simcha. And I went to the simcha, my friend, before the chasna, he's the type, he studied chuppah, he studied the sugya of marriage, of marrying off a child. He was on fire at the chasna. He was present. He was focused. He was doing something at this chasna. If you value something, if you appreciate something, it gives the thing a koyach. It gives it a value. It gives it a power. That's how this world works. We're surrounded by beautiful things. What unlocks, what unleashes things, what allows begadim to warm is being mechabedim. So it's pum fakert, saying dangerous, you give kavod. It's the only danger is you'll have people all over unlocked. It is dangerous because you'll have a powerful world. Atomic. He's right, it's dangerous, but l'toiv, it's fire. And this is not a small give kavod like it's a chocolate bar you hand out. Be mechabed means study the sugya. Study the sugya, study Yetzias Mitzrayim, that Hashem chose a people, created a people. That Hashem was Boicher B'Ama, He chose a people as His own. B'ni B'chayri Yisrael. Hashem called us. and on any person, he or she. Hashem said on him, Hashem said on her, B'ni b'chayri Yisrael. I'm so fascinated that Hashem didn't say it to us. A good trivia question. In the Torah that were called the children of Hashem, who was it said to? You ask people, they assume it said to us. I'm so fascinated that Hashem said it to Paroi. Because better than telling your kid how much you love them, though of course you tell them, how much you're into them, though of course you tell them, is they overhear. And the best time you ever spoke about our children is they're not even in the room or in the house. The world, they're waves. When you're sitting somewhere far away, you're just gushing about your child's the best time. They're waves. It's more powerful than what you told them. Much more. They're waves. It's powerful. You're alone somewhere just talking in the middle. The most powerful time you ever complimented your child is in Moedim, me and God, you and God. You said to Hashem, I really appreciate this precious person. She's so sweet. He's so, Hashem, thank you, Moedim anachnu lach. That's the most precious time you ever appreciated your child. I promise it's pashut, they're waves. We sit here, we study Torah. B'ni b'chayri Yisrael. With every person was told this. You know why they were told it? Because God said it to Paroi. There's a sugya called Torah. That's Hashem speaking to Paroi with his messenger. When every girl and boy, any yid ever was told this, because Hashem said it to Paroi through his messenger, through his loyal messenger, Moshe Rabbi. So this sugya that respecting somebody, but not for what they could be, not for what they will be, but for who they are. Respecting and appreciating in a profound way. Rev Hirsch calls this the bedrock of education. He calls it the basis, the base of education. Everything else is like built on this. The Rambam's Mechayev Rebbeim is Mechayev Rebbeim to Mechabed their Talmidim. You sound liberal like crazy. You'll sound, but who cares how you sound? In a world devoid of kavod, if you speak about such a revolution, you sound crazy. But we'll create and we'll have people capable. Of course, it's a world that's supposed to have so much honor to parents, honor to Rebbeim, honor to elders. We'll start the revolution by raising people who have been respected, who are capable of respecting, who are capable of appreciating. We'll raise generations like that. So being mechabed unleashes koiches. It unlocks. That's how Hashem made the world. Be mechabed a beged and it warms you. Be mechabed a mitzvah, it elevates you. Be mechabed a person, it unleashes. It unleashes their koiches. The koiches that are flowing. The bottom Hashem, the person who Hashem chose, is a secret of this world. So I want to chazer the 3 points that we studied this Erev Shabbos Kodesh, and I'm told I'm overtime. It's an old problem. So I have 2 reasons to get fired. A lot of sports and overtime. So I want to, we're ending right now. The three things are: 1, when in talking about the sugya of judging, we're bad judges. We're not good at it. Yesh b'medrash is miturefes midaita. 1, we're not good judges. 2, in feeling tsar, Rabbi Yisrael Simchas Torah, we're coming in touch with a chokah that's very, very real, very powerful, and worthy of doing something with that, of harnessing that, of experiencing that. There's a beauty right there. And the third point, that being mechabed and seeing beauty in people unleashes koiches. It's probably the biggest force in the world to unleash koiches that exists in everything in this world. A good Erev Shabbos, and thank you so much.